I took him. I said, you know what? Enough is enough. And I took him against a court order in California up to Washington, and I called CPS, and I called the DA, and I called the sheriff's department. I called everybody and said, I've got my kid very far away from California, and he's not coming back, and this is why, since the courts won't help me.
We're back.
Welcome back to The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win with attorney Vincent Davis, and I am co-hosting. I'm Erin Carranza. Rose from Washington, do you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Actually, I've got a book. we'll make it short, as short as I can make it. So basically, back in 2018. Excuse me.
I said as best you can with as much detail as you can.
Yeah. So in 2018, June of 2018, I brought my son from California to Washington State because there was issues going on with his dad. We were in family court at the time and prior to that. And basically, from the outside looking in, a lot of people would say, oh, this is just a really nasty custody battle, and these parents have this horrible interaction relationship, and the kids being exposed to it, blah, 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 right? And I could see, let me just get back on track. So I found out that my son was being allowed to watch porn when he was 3 years old. This was before 2018. He was 3 years old. I went to go pick him up for a visit, and he was watching porn on his dad's phone and masturbating like a grown man.
Oh, my goodness.
And I took the phone from him, went to his father and his father's girlfriend and said, what's up with this? And they tried making it like, oh, it's no big deal. He's, it's human. And I said, no, there's laws about this. So I filed an ex parte with family court. And that matter was put on calendar, and we had to go to mediation. And I tried to bring into mediation what I found out about scientifically and physiologically and all the stuff that happens to children when they're victimized like that. And I'm trying to get my son in my custody over all this. That was denied. They said to us at the court hearing, the final decision was parents, and they addressed me as well, just show him rated G movies. And I'm like, well, no way. Of course, that's what you do for kids this age. But I couldn't believe how nonchalant everybody was about it. So I've gotten my red flags up. My son's telling me things. I'm making recordings when he's talking to me, and he's telling me things throughout the years. Let's fast forward till he's 5 years old. He at one point told me step by step how to shoot heroin intravenously.
Oh my goodness!
And told me that he had watched his dad and his dad's girlfriend at 5 years old. Watched his dad and his dad's girlfriend do this. And I took him. I said, you know what? Enough is enough. And I took him against a court order in California up to Washington, and I called CPS, and I called the DA, and I called the sheriff's department. I called everybody and said, I've got my kid very far away from California, and he's not coming back, and this is why, since the courts won't help me. The DA, actually it wasn't the DA, it was the assistant, the investigative assistant at the DA's office from where I was from, tried getting me to come down with my son via airplane. They were going to pay for the ticket so we can, quote unquote, straighten out this mess. And I said, I'm not falling for that. I'm not doing that.
Right.
And that was that. He started talking about kidnapping charges. I said, well, as far as I know legally, I didn't kidnap my kid. I'm well within my rights to do what I did because I'm protecting him, and he's a victim of a crime. Well, the court hearing, so the dad filed an ex parte, the court hearing comes in, and I'm on the phone, appearing by phone up in Washington. My son's with me, and they wanted to know where I was at, and I wouldn't give him my address because his dad was in the courtroom, and I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to put him in danger like that. So it ended up getting referred over to CPS, and they got a detaining warrant to come pick my son up in Washington because I wouldn't tell him where I was at. So he's back down in California, and this is September of 2018. He ended up being flown back to California. False allegations were put on me from Dad, and they got into it. It's become one great big doo-doo show. And so my son ended up going to 2 different forensic interviews. It took him twice for them to finally believe what had happened to him. And I found out later on that it was more than just him watching porn. It was his dad's girlfriend straight up molesting him while his dad was letting it happen and watching.
Oh, my God.
And so they haven't arrested
It's all right.
him.
Take a breath.
He's
not been arrested.
Frustrated over the whole situation. They're doing a TPR on me. I went to a hearing yesterday on this, and I said I contest this. I'm not okay with it, and so we set it for a trial on June 5th, this coming June 5th. That I'm not even prepared for. My representation throughout this whole entire ordeal, every lawyer that I've had court appointed has sucked. They haven't done anything for me. In fact, there's so much corruption and so much crap going on with it that I'm just like, my mind is blown away because I'm the one person that actually stood up and said, you're not hurting my kid anymore. And it's horrible. So, and there's a lot to the story, and I'm sure everybody knows that.
Uh-huh.
You know, there's always going to be more to the story, and it's a complicated situation. It's a very complicated situation. But the thing is I want my son protected from him. He doesn't see him anymore because the dad's afraid if he does come to a visit that he'll get arrested. That's what he's saying. So he hasn't gone to see my son anymore. My son does not ever want to see him again, or the girlfriend. And they actually filed a subsequent petition along with the original one when all of this other stuff came out, finally with the second forensic interview. The judge did rule that, yes, it did happen in his opinion, yet the man's not in jail and the girlfriend's not in jail. And I want to know, and I called the DA. I've contacted every person that I could possibly contact to find out why or what's going on, and it's been passing the buck. CPS says, well, call your attorney. My attorney's like, why are you calling me? Call the DA.
Uh-huh. No, is it in California you're doing all your court cases, or are you doing it in both states?
No. So I'm doing it. All of these court proceedings are in California. I moved up to Washington. Okay. I'm staying in Washington because I'm afraid for my life. His father told him, my son, that he's going to kill me.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, okay, I'll just stay up in Washington because I'm pretty sure the guy's he's too drugged up to come up here anyway.
Rose, hold on a second, Rose. Where is your child, though?
My child is in California.
Where?
In Sacramento County, or actually in El Dorado County.
I mean, is your child with a foster parent or a relative,
yes,
a family friend?
No, he's in a foster home, and the foster parents are trying to adopt him because they're doing a TPR on me.
Okay. So hold on a second, okay? If they subsequently found that this was happening, then they're going to have to, somebody's going to have to make a motion for you to try to throw out the case against you.
Okay.
You both can't be offending in this case, in my opinion, right? You can't be guilty of protecting your son and the father be guilty of sexual abuse, right? You can't. It's either one or the other. And if the judge made a finding that, the father and the girlfriend did this, then, someone's got to make a motion for you to set aside the judgments and orders against you so that you can become probably non-offending in the case. I mean, it turns out, I guess, you're the hero of the case.
I thought that's what everybody that I've ever talked to has told me, except for my lawyers and CPS. So they're basically what they're basing they're acting like it's a separate thing.
Wait, hold on, Rose.
They've got my petition. What?
My engineer's telling me we got to take a break in a minute here. What I want you to do is, call me tomorrow, and we can talk more about this because I can tell you the type of motion that you need to file, and it probably needs to be filed ASAP. And if the trial judge doesn't
Okay.
grant it, you're going to have to take a writ or an appeal to a higher court immediately. Hey, Rose,
Okay.
I want to thank you for calling and thank you for listening. Please call us back in 3 or 4 weeks. Let the audience know what has happened in your case. This is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. We'll be right back after these messages.